Since Trump's election, Mr. Musk has become $154 billion richer. Not bad in a couple of weeks' time.
Hi, my name's India. This is going to be probably the first video on my channel. I'm going to be going over conflicts of interest between Elon Musk and the Doge hostile takeover of the federal agencies, including the USAID and USAID, FAA. Those are probably the ones that are conflict of interest that I've found, at least. If you know of any more, you can definitely put more information below. These are the ones that I was able to find with a couple hours of research.
The president was already asked and answered this question this week, and he said if Elon Musk comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts. And he has, again, abided by all applicable laws.
Trump's press secretary recently said that as soon as there was a conflict of interest between Elon Musk and Doge, that he would remove himself. It's very clear that there is already a conflict of interest and has always been conflicts of interest. So I'm going to just go through a timeline and show how there was already conflicts of interest. Down below in the description, I am going to put a link of all of my sources, and as well as any of the government websites that I use, as well as statements from government officials. The first date that we're going to look at is going to be September 17th, 2024. The FAA proposes $633,000 penalties to SpaceX. This is for him allegedly failing to comply with some of the regulations with 2 launches from 2023. And I'll include the FAA proposal for this penalty. The FAA, number one, the FAA has given him over $500,000 worth of fines. So we'll also see the FAA come up again later. Not even 10 days later, on September 26, 2024, the USAID Inspector General gives a statement to the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Oversight and Accountability about the foreign policy interruptions, how fraud, waste, and abuse blunt America's impacts abroad. So on the second page, they explicitly state that in addition to another ongoing audit on direct budget support, we are examining USAID's energy security project, USAID's own oversight of Starlink's satellite terminals provided to the Ukrainian government, and USAID's efforts to support against sexual exploitation and abuse in Ukraine. When completed, we look forward to sharing the finding of these reports with the subcommittee. Within months of that, Trump wins the presidency on November 5th. We found out on November 6th, obviously. But less than a month after that, Doge is announced with Elon Musk at the head. Then, about a month later, on December 12th, the head of the FAA, which had just put the fines for SpaceX, the head of the FAA announced his resignation. Obviously, there was more stuff going on. We can look back at the Boeing incidents. He announced that he will be resigning. So he was only in the position for about a year, which is basically unheard of. In that position, you will be in there for a couple years. It's typical for you to stay there regardless of which president takes office. On January 16th, 2025, SpaceX has an explosion. They send a rocket up off of the coast of Texas, and it explodes over Turks and Caicos. The next day, the FAA releases a statement saying we're going to investigate, essentially. They don't really have a chance to investigate because on January 20th, Trump takes office. He's inaugurated as the 47th president. And then also on the 20th, Trump establishes Doge. He establishes the Department of Government Efficiency, yada, yada, yada. He signs the executive order. And so then the next day, on the 21st, he also dismantled the Aviation Safety Advisory Committee. So this is a second board of people who's over aviation and safety. So not only is the head of the FAA resigned, but he has also gotten rid of the Aviation Safety Committee. So that's 2 entities that are over aviation that are now gone. Obviously, we know what happened about less than a week later with what happened in DC. I won't go too much into it. And I don't want to make light of what happened, but and I don't want to trivialize it. But we know why some of this stuff is in place, and we understand like DEI is not the reason why these people have been harmed. But I do want to make sure that is known, that those 2 that the FAA was investigating and fining SpaceX before the Trump administration. Elon Musk is still looking at the FAA, even as he is head of Doge. He's still talking about the FAA. Just keep that in mind. Alrighty. So on February 3rd, he announced that the USAID is beyond repair and needs to be shut down. On Sunday, the Trump administration had removed 2 of the top security officials at USAID over the weekend that had stopped Doge representatives from gaining access to restricted areas of the building. Sources said. Trump later said to reporters that USAID had been run by a bunch of radical lunatics. We're getting them out, then we'll make a decision. The U.S. is the greatest single donator. In the fiscal year of 2023, the U.S. distributed $73 billion of assistance worldwide on everything from women's health to in conflict areas to access to clean water, HIV/AIDS treatment, energy security, and anti-corruption work. And so much of the funds that are used go directly back into the American people. It's not like, oh, we send money to this place. We send like, oh, you need food? We're going to pay farmers in America to send food to this place. So our farmers here are also benefiting. And I don't think people realize the impact that this will have on our country. People are going to hurt. And the last thing, the Congressional Research Services, which is nonpartisan across the board, they concluded that Trump does not have the power to abolish, consolidate, or really do anything to the USAID. Since USAID was constructed by Congress, it has to be deconstructed by the power of Congress. Same with the Department of Education and so on. I would do a separate video on the Department of Education, especially since it's something that means so much to me as a former educator, as someone who loves to read. I will leave it at that. Yeah. So if you enjoy this video, I will love it if you subscribe, like the video, and comment down below anything that you want me to talk about, whatever crazy thing has happened in between when I release this and whenever you see it. Below in the description, I will be tagging my TikTok account and my Blue Sky account. I don't really use anything else. So yeah, follow me there. If you want to drop yours also below, just let me know your account and I'll call you back. I need more mutuals on there anyway.